Hi. This video is something I should have shared a long time ago, and I hope it helps somebody out there. I just want to start sharing healings that I've experienced from the Lord in my own life and just things that God has done for me, just to maybe inspire hope in somebody who's hurting or suffering or just needs a good word that God does heal and he does come through. And I've been blessed that I have so many that I could really make this into like a lot of videos that I have to share. But I wanted to start with the one that kind of started everything off for me is the first time I met the Lord was a time when my husband and I, we at the time were boyfriend and girlfriend living together and fighting. And I had pretty much only experienced fighting, like even in my own parental experience with my mom. After my dad passed away, my mom had a boyfriend that lived with us, and they would fight a lot. And eventually, he cheated on her and left. And most of my life, guys that I had seen or this or that, they usually would be unfaithful and leave, or we'd get into a fight and it would just be over. And I'd kind of just got to the point where I had lost hope that I was going to experience like marriage or somebody staying with me. And I remember my husband and I had just gotten into a big fight, and I thought that was probably going to be the end of it. And I left where we were living and I went down. There's a like a trail down to the lake near, and so I walked down to the lake and I was sitting there on the rock. It was kind of on some rocks. It was kind of a stormy day, and I was just crying because I was just kind of at the point, you've all probably been there at some point where you just get to a point where you feel like there's no hope. Sorry, I'm crying. And that's where the Lord meets you. Is usually when you run to the end of yourself. And that's where he meets you, where he's like, okay, you've tried. Now let me, and all I want to do is help you. And I was sitting there, and I had never really believed, well, God, I was baptized when I was a child, and like God had been in and out of my life. I never really understood God or Jesus or a relationship with the Father at that time. I'd always prayed, but I never really heard anything or like experienced these things. Like I just really didn't know if it was real or not, because I'd never experienced it for myself. And that day I experienced Jesus. I experienced God that day. And this is what happened. So I was sitting there praying, basically just done, but still praying. And that was the first time I heard people say they heard the Lord speak. That was the first time I heard the Lord speak. And how I can explain that to you is it was not an audible voice. It was something that came from inside, but I did not think it, nor did I I can't explain it. It just came from within, but it brought so much peace. And I did not have a Bible at the time, nor did I have any knowledge of Bible scripture or anything. I was in a not a good place. So I heard this. I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. And I remember in that moment just feeling like, before that, just complete despair, and then sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, that was love. Like, that was peace. Like, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you. I realized for the first time, I think that was the Lord opening my eyes, number one, because up to that point, the enemy had blinded me because of all the bad things that had happened to me up to that point, to the point where I just stopped believing in love or that love existed. And it's interesting because God is love. And so when he spoke that over me, it made me realize, no, this whole time, because I didn't know love, I was not choosing love. I was choosing death, pretty much. I was choosing, okay, this is going to be the end. There's no hope. And you can go down that whole road where you just end up getting in this repetitive cycle. And it's like a chain. It's like a chain effect. And the Lord breaks our chains. He truly breaks our chains. He gave that to me. And for the first time, I realized, oh, wait, I can choose love here. I can choose forgiveness. This does not have to be the end of this relationship. This is like, this hurts, but he knows the plans he has for me, plans to prosper me and not harm me, plans to give me hope and a future. And I realized I was thinking there was no hope, no future, no nothing. And I realized it was up to me to choose. And so after hearing that, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, God is real. Because that was scripture. I Googled, searched it. And that's what I was like, oh my gosh, this is scripture. That was the Bible. Like, God spoke to me. Oh my goodness. Like, this is real. Jesus is real. This whole entire time, I had no idea. That I thought everybody was kind of like a little crazy, but really I was the crazy one. And what I did was I went home and chose love, and I apologized, and my boyfriend at the time apologized, which is now my husband. And 2 weeks later, he proposed to me. And if I would have not chosen love, I would have missed out on everything that the Lord has for me. I now have 3 children and a home and a marriage and a church. And the Lord has been nothing but good to me. And I just want to give hope to somebody that really needs it today. That God has a plan for you, and his plans are for good, to prosper you and not harm you. But we have to choose love. The enemy may have blinded you by all the pain and suffering that you've experienced. And I don't know who this video is for today, but if you're coming across it, just know that I hope this leads you to prayer, and I hope that this leads you to hope and to choose love and to pray again and to know he hears you, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if it's been years. I think I was like 27 or no. I think I was like 25 or 26 when I heard him for the first time. That's a long time. That's a long time. But if you ask the Lord to come into your life and to speak to you, and if you ask him to show you that you're loved, and you're willing to open yourself up to receive it, he will come through. And I have many more videos to share coming up, and I look forward to sharing more that I can just share how good he is, because he's been nothing but good to me. And I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it at all. None of us do. So, till the next one, bless you.